Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV and the World F3 Championship, the inaugural race of Season 1 of the World F3 Championship. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Tyler Vickery and Sam Kumo, and we are very excited about this one. Two 30-minute races today, Tyler, and in this car, which we haven't seen a whole lot of on the channel so far, I think around the Spa circuit we are going to see absolutely what it's about.
Yeah, and especially with these F3 cars, there's going to be a lot that can take place. Going to be some great battling, and as well as going up Eau Rouge. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few cars going too wide through Eau Rouge, because some of these drivers are very, very good. So I can't wait to see how this race goes.
Absolutely, the competitiveness in this field is absolutely fantastic. We've got some of the top drivers from World GT, and of course a lot of drivers as well from the BSR leagues, which we cover on Apex Racing TV, and 32 drivers. Really good to see that, and expect that number to stay pretty high throughout the season, because we did have, I think, all the entries filled in, actually, 40 out of 40, so hopefully we'll see a few of those drivers who are missing today around for the future rounds, but this should still be a great one. The drivers just putting in their qualifying times now, and there isn't really anywhere more difficult to set a qualifying time, I'd say, Tyler. Maybe Circuit of the Americas could be a little bit more difficult, because you got that difficult off-track right at the end of the lap, but around here it's not easy either, because yeah, it's pretty easy to get your lap invalidated.
Yeah, and I was here when the session first came up. Whoa, as we saw the 26 there, our current lead of provisional. Whoa, who was that? Okay, I feel bad for someone went on a wild ride there. When we were looking at Richard though with the slide, as it was the 82 of Marco Morgan as we're watching a replay here. This was, yeah, too much of the rumble strip. Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the race.
I hope that never happens in real life. Of course, in the GP3 round here, I realise it's not the same cars, but a driver hit the sausage curb, of course, at the end of the lap, and did a full 360 in the air. And since then, the sausage curbs have very much been less in use. Of course, also those curves were almost caused a fatal incident at Macau as well, although that was slightly a different scenario, of course. But of course, yeah, back to today. None of that hopefully will happen today. Marco Numela just putting in his lap time. He's already in third place. And, well, he's sticking with this lap seemingly, so he's pretty confident about it. He's only half a second off pole position at the moment as he crosses the line, and that was actually his out lap. So, I do that a lot. I did that a lot on Monday, actually. And get ready for that for the rest of the season. You can see these drivers all in a train currently, and that's because the slipstream effect is such a powerful thing around this circuit. If you don't have the slipstream, you're basically waving goodbye to at least half a second a lap.
Yeah, it definitely is. When I was doing some practice laps here earlier in the session when it came up, it makes a big difference, because a lot of the times I was running without any kind of draft, because even though I'm invisible to a lot of these guys, I'll still get like the little arrow effects and everything. But even then, it was just with how I was trying to make a quick setup myself for official races, because I do a lot of official races for F3. The cars are they're very arrow sensitive, as looks like one of the Apex Racing guys went off track there a little bit. It's a very sensitive car to set up. You have to be very precise on what kind of setups and adjustments you want to make, because that'll really make or break you on whether or not you want to get a quick lap in or not.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, around this circuit, you want the straight line speed, but at the same time, it's got some long sweepers, and so you need a lot of rear end stability as well. The field today, it's incredible caliber of drivers. We've got at least 4 pro drivers in this. It's absolutely incredible. One of them is Peter Bayman, and he is currently on pole position, certainly showing his class. We've also got Alex Simpson, Paul Ilbrink, I know, is a pro driver, Josh Thompson, and Christian Rose, of course, Nicole Foggy, Stuart McFadden, Nicholas Rasmussen, he's a pro driver, Johnny Brandon, Michael Abdoka, Will Daniels. It's an incredible field out there. And yeah, really looking forward to of course, today and the rest of the season. 5 more minutes to go. Kevin Hess Jr. as well. How could we forget about him? And we just see, I think that's the two XVR drivers trying to help each other out. They're really good at these slipstreams. I've learned from the BSR Radical series. They really do nail this to Brandon and Foggy as well. So if you can kind of orchestrate something like that within your team, giving your teammate the slipstream, it can really benefit you.
Yeah, especially right now looking at it, I want to say Johnny Brandon's in the middle, and then I want to say that might be Nico Foggy further up, or I might be wrong, because that was a 714. No, that was Richard Warming. So Nico Foggy's completely in a different sector of the track, but three of the XVR guys were working together, and it looked like I wanted to say the car that was further back is getting help from Rich Warmingham, as well as I know it was 6 of Johnny Brandon, both helping out their teammate trying to get a quick lap in, as that's going to be the best way to get up top. As I mean, we can already see 3 of the Apex Racing guys up in the top 5. Peter Berryman, Alex Simpson, and Kevin Ellis. Then we also have the Racing Network guys for Marco Numella and Richard Altop all up there in the top 5 as well. So definitely makes a big difference if you can have your teammates qualifying and starting to run around the same area as you guys are.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, this is going to turn into a team race. It is so close out there currently. Pole position, man, Pete Bateman with a 2-minute 8.5. Just looking down the order, you can go down to, well, pretty much that. Yeah, you can go down to Marco Mogren in 18th, and there's only 1.5 seconds difference between 18th and first. It's incredibly competitive, and you think with the slipstream effect, we could have a potentially like a 10-car train at the front of the field, and with the caliber of drivers as well out there. So qualifying not necessarily super important. They are going to be able to make it back up, but of course Marco Numella is not thinking that right now, because the Racing Network driver is giving his absolute all, number 86 car. And is this an outlap? I'm not quite sure. This might be a
I
time lap.
want to say, I think this, from the way that's, oh no, this might be a quick lap, as he went personal best for him in sector 3. So looks like this should be, it is an outlap, never mind.
So he will now start his lap. Who's that? He's just giving a slipstream to one of the drivers just behind. Well, of course, in this F3 car, it's maybe this circuit is a bit almost too big for these F3 cars, because you're on the throttle for a lot of the time. And of course, a lot of the corners like this, Eau Rouge and also Blanchimont as well, notoriously tricky corners in cars, and this is easy flat out due to the high downforce to power ratio.
Yeah, and I could almost agree to that as well, but I wouldn't be surprised, like, setup-wise, if you can make the setup where the car can work for you in these, like, especially in these tighter sections like we're going through right now for sectors 3 and 4, it'll be a good advantage, because I'll just give a little insight of what I was doing for a setup for me. I learned from another driver by the name of Jordan Giddings, and I learned a lot from him of sometimes low downforce packages might not be the best. But I mean, of course, with how iRacing, how they always change up the setups and everything, I've just been working more on a high downforce setup myself, just because I can feel like I can get a little bit better control, even though I lose a lot of speed in the straights. But some of these setups will be real interesting to see. I mean, we could see some really low downforce setups, or we could even see some high downforce setups, but with a mixture of having that low downforce involved, to where they can be able to keep the speed in the straights and take advantage of that draft if possible. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these cars are set up.
Yeah, definitely. Marco Numela, is he just backing off coming into the pits potentially? Because, well, if he has got maybe one more lap, and he is going to do one more lap, so we think he got a off track on that previous lap. So here he goes, and you can see straight away getting to the other side of the circuit. That reduces the run to the first corner. He's trying to get every last 100. That's probably gained about maybe 1.5 hundredths, something like that. And he is desperate to gain them because the driver currently on the second row of the grid, the second place out of the Racing Network drivers, out of him and Richard Alsop, who's currently on the front row. We wait to see if there's any more changes. And
I don't think he'll get an opportunity of a quick lap though, because the drafting car he was drafting behind that he was behind drafting peeled out on him, so he's all by himself. I don't know if he'll get a quick enough time in for Marco DeMello to jump up to the front row. It'll be interesting. Well, I'll have to keep an eye on the second.
yeah, definitely. Paul Ilbrink trying to improve. He's currently in 8th place. Any of these drivers could win this race, and of course, in the we've got 2 races. The first one, half an hour in length. The grid will be judged on this qualifying, of course, and then later on we've got a second race, half an hour long again, and it's a random reverse grid. I think it can be anything from about 10 to 20 cars. So expect the order really to be mixed up, and of course these drivers want to accumulate a lot of points in the championship, and when it's this competitive, it's more about your consistency than anything else. If these drivers can just get 2 top fives today, for example, I think that would be a very good result considering the opposition they're against.
Yeah, definitely, especially with how big of the field it is. I mean, and looking at the gaps right now, the time difference between practically the whole field right now, out of the 27 cars that have qualified, I mean, only 3 second difference from first to last, roughly, and that's still not a very big difference. I mean, that's only the gap is only about like a small portion of one of the straightaways, and it'll be interesting. And we've got a fast sector for e-brake, so definitely got to keep on. Oh, made a mistake there. Never mind.
Yeah, he'll be super frustrated with that one. Just looking at his times, he was so quick in Sector 2 and Sector 3. I wonder if he's running a little bit higher downforce, not quite sure, but he wasn't very quick in Sector 1. So we'll certainly have to keep an eye on Ilbrink later on, because he could be trying something a little bit contrary to his rivals. Ben Kriener just crossing the line. He is currently bottom of the drivers for Excite Racing. But, well, I wouldn't be surprised if he really finds his way up through the field. Marco Mogren currently on the outskirts of the top 10. You see some of the drivers outside of the top 10. We'll go through the grid in a few minutes' time, but the caliber of drivers, like I've said before, is absolutely incredible. And it's shuffling some drivers who have fought for BSRTC titles and Euro B8 titles outside the top 10. Marco Mogren crosses the line. And, well, that was an improvement, but only by a few hundredths of a second. He remains in 10th place. I think we've also got Nicholas Rasmussen, or I don't think that's an eligible lap for him. I think actually Beard is one of the few drivers remaining to who can still put in a time. Again, another Excite Racing driver, currently 17th on the grid. You can see those drivers taking quite a deep line into that chicane. I don't know if that's a mistake or not, but it compromises maybe the run on the exit, and Ashley Beard will cross the line. And I don't think that was an improvement. So, yeah, I think that was an invalidated lap time. So he remains where he was. No one else is going to be getting another lap in, because we've only got 5 more seconds of qualifying to go. And then we will go through your grid. And, well, what a grid it is. And you'd be hard-picked to choose which way this is going to go. Because on the front row of the grid, we got Pete Bayman and Richard Alsop. Apex Racing UK versus the Racing Network. Then it's CQR's Josh Thompson and Marco Numella on the third and fourth in third and fourth positions. Then it's Kevin Ayers Jr. and Alex Simpson. Behind that is Christian Rose, Paul Ilbrink, Nicole Foggy, and Marco Mogren. And then it's Stuart McFadden. Michael Abdoka starts in 12th. Nicholas Rasmussen, a driver who's nearly gone pro in the past, down in 13th place. Johnny Brandon, leader of the Radical Series, leader of the Euro V8, down in 14th. Will Daniels in 15th. It's Danny Henney, Ashley Beard, Chris Moretta, Trevor Clement, Benjamin Gregory, and the rest of the drivers. We'll just shuffle through for you now. We've got a few more drivers to get onto the grid. And Tyler, can you pick anyone out of this? It's going to be so close, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be real close. I want to right now say that, especially with Josh Thompson, he might have an opportunity. Marco Numella, right now it's up there. I mean, I want to one of the Apex Racing guys. I want to pick. He might be even though he's a coworker with us, Alex Simpson. If he can have a clean race and not get caught up in any mess, he might be able to work with Kevin and Peter on trying to give Apex a 1, 2, 3. But it'll be very interesting though to see what exactly happens as with Josh Thompson. I know how Josh Thompson can be on the roadside. He can be another big contender there.
Absolutely. I think we've pretty much got everyone. Only got a few more seconds of gridding to go. Great to see so many cars up there in this first race of a new series, a new age, if you will. The World F3 Championship is going to get going very, very soon as the lights come on at Spa Francorchamps. Peter Bayman from the pole position, and away we go. And it's a really good start there from Bayman. Alsop's going to be under pressure from Thompson. Hopefully we won't see any issues going into La Source. Seems to be pretty well maintained at the front of the grid. Pretty much no changes. Maybe just a little bit of contact further down, but no major spins, I believe. And it's still Peter Bayman leading the way, 7/10 of a second ahead of the rest of the field. And now the chase starts down this field. Oh, we got a crash there. It's Richard Alsop, and also I think that's that's one of the Apex drivers, Josh Thompson as well, and Alex Johnson in a different incident out of the race as well.
Wow, it looked like Thompson got caught up with one of the other drivers and Richard Alsop, and just ended up having a little Constantine effect. But look at this though. Peter Berryman, Kevin Ellis, and Alex Simpson, all teammates, 1, 2, and 3 after that incident.
Absolutely incredible. What a start those drivers have had. Nicole Foggy up a couple of places. Numella didn't really benefit from that. I think he had to get on the brakes in the end to avoid that big mess. And it's so close. Everyone kind of getting a little bit stuck behind Alex Simpson currently. As, Christian Rose, I think that is. As, Bayman, Ellis, and Simpson. What a dream side it is for Apex Racing UK. As Paul Ilbrink tries to get past Marco Numella. Expect these battles just continue for the whole race, because breaking the toe is going to be ever so difficult. Ilbrink, though, looking really racy early.
Yeah, it's Peter Berryman's already opened up almost a second and a half gap on the Kevin Ellis. But looking at this battle with Paul Ilbrink and Marco Numella, Numella's losing his teammate there from the incident with Josh Thompson. He knows he's got to do something to help save as many points as possible. Trying to get on the aggressive side, getting around Christian Rose, heading into the little chicane now, and Christian Rose is going to lose 2 spots now to both Marco Numella. Oh!
Contact in the background, someone going across the track, and now there's an incident. I think that was Rasmussen or Henney. Someone around Rayfield, I think it was, who was really losing out there. So a couple of incidents in these stations. Yeah, it was Rasmussen. Look at the Bats thing just ahead, 3 wide, and massive contact with the black car and the blue car.
The green car, I want to say that's a 62. 62 of, let me can find the lifetime. That would be Brandon. That was just really, oh man, he looked like he locked it up and just went sideways and took out one of the other green cars. I want to say that was an XVR driver.
Yeah, we've had plenty of casualties then. Yeah, I think about 5 drivers are potentially out of the race just on the opening lap. Only 3 minutes into this one, and we've already seen a lot of action. And certainly the field at the front, spreading out. The top 3, all the Apex Racing UK drivers, pulling away a bit now. Numela is trying to close the gap, but he's not succeeding at the moment. Actually been up 9 positions. We were talking about him starting in 17th place. Well, look at this. It's looking fantastic for him right now. He is going to have a lot of quick drivers. Mogren, Evdoka, Rasmussen, and Foggy all behind him. But for now, it's looking very good for him.
Yeah, had a lot of advantage there as we got 3 wide action. Go! And saw that coming. 66 for XVR. That's Nico Foggy. Just, wow. There was nothing he could do there. That was, I believe, the 113 of Ben Gregory that made contact with Nico Foggy. And Nico Foggy's already lost now 9 positions right now from the start of the race. Just not his luck right now.
Yeah, he seemed to let his teammate pass very easily as well, so I don't know if he's got a little bit more damage on that. Was tyre face to tyre face, so maybe really damaged the suspension potentially. As Rasmussen a little bit out of position. Here comes Greenot. We're seeing this bus stop once again, or the chicane, sorry. But they get through it a lot cleaner this time, seemingly. But of course, the overtaking opportunities are just so often. They can go for a move into La Source, but they'll be so vulnerable later on in the lap as Ben Gregory comes under big pressure from Danny Henney, who's down the inside. Now they're going to be side by side going into Eau Rouge. But I think Henney's going to be able to establish that one for now. Here comes Gregory, though. Down the inside, we're going to see side by side up Eau Rouge and past Radion as well. And Gregory just about moves ahead.
Yeah, that was great overtake move as well in the up Eau Rouge. And here we go again. 12. Will Daniels is going to look around the outside of Ben Gregory here. He's got a little bit more momentum. Late braking. Still side by side, but he's able to make the clean pass now. So now he's got some opportunities to try to catch up to Marco Mogan. While Ben Gregory is, oh geez, that was going to be a little aggressive there on the defending as Ben Craner's trying to get around the 13. Ooh, that was almost making some contact. I'm sorry, that 13, that was the 33 of Danny Henney there trying to make a move around Ben Craner before he got blocked off there.
Yeah, Craner desperate not to lose that one, but now Gregory has lost it, and there could be more instances, but somehow just avoid it. But Dylan's got to be careful coming back onto the circuit now, but he has done. I think that is that Brandon just behind. Yes, it is. And, well, this is how Gregory lost it. Was he tapped? Or did he lose it by himself? No, he lost it by himself.
He lost it by himself. Yeah, and then just, wow. Right there. Ooh, how no one hit him. That was, wow. That's a definite scary moment when you're facing the opposite way and you see other people coming in front of you.
Absolutely. Did well not to move too much, made it clear that he was going to remain static. As this one still continues, we've seen Foggy fall from this battle, Gregory as well. Daniels has been able to pull away, but it's still Craner versus Brandon. Sorry, Craner versus Henney.
Oh.
As Rose has an issue. Was running in the top 5.
Looks like he's got some wheel issue on that right side. Or did he just lose it on himself?
Oh, he was very close to Nermella. Has he completely missed his braking spot here?
Oh yeah, he got on the, he actually got on the brakes, and when he went on the brakes, his right side tires were on the grass, and it small little tap of the tire barrier, so a little bit bend in the front wing possibly, but got away cleanly there.
He is down into 19th position, however. So a long way for him to catch up. But out in the lead, well, I'm sure Peter Bayman did not think this first race would be as easy as it has been, but he's pulling it away with ease. A 10th faster on that last lap there, and teammate Kevin S. Jr., Alex Simpson, kind of just maintaining that. Marco Nermella is struggling to make an impression. In fact, was significantly slower than Simpson on that last lap. And, well, maybe this is why, because he's having to having to defend from Paul Ilbrink quite a bit right now. 2/10 of a second between the two of them, and Stuart McFadden, who had a little bit of an underwhelming qualifying in 11th, well, he's onto the back of these guys and could be in line for a top 4 finish.
Yeah, and with Marco struggling right now, Marco's in the 210s, 210.8, 210, yeah, 210.08 there for Marco Numella, and Imbrink is still running 209s, but it's very close lap time wise compared to these three, but top three in front are just pulling away lap by lap right now, and it's going to be a real struggle for Marco and Paul to try to make any kind of opportunity.
Numella had an incredible first sector, gained half a second on Simpson on the first sector alone, which has allowed him to take about 3/10 out of the third place driver on that last lap. A little bit of a slower lap from Simpson, it must be admitted, but that one for the last step on the podium is still alive. Actually, Bit is defending valiantly. He's up into 6th place from 17th on the grid, and actually getting past Stuart McFadden, who must have had an issue at the end of that lap. Because he was quite close, and yeah, he lost 4.5 seconds in the final sector of the last lap.
Yeah, that must have just didn't have momentum or anything. But I do have to say this though, keeping an eye, especially if some of you viewers at home, keep an eye on that rear wing as we're seeing this great battle here with Stuart McFadden getting around on the inside. But keep an eye on that rear wing. I have noticed you can already tell a few aero differences. So, like for a good example, like Stuart McFadden, the rear wing is the top rear wing's like very almost horizontal. And then if you look at another driver, I want to believe it was either Paul Ingrink or Marco Numella, you could see the sponsor names in that a lot easier on the car. Yeah, so that'd be the number 10 of Paul Ingrink.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
So that's a good tell of some of these drivers running different setups, especially in the rear. So could be advantage for some people and then a disadvantage for other drivers. But like I was saying earlier, some of these setups, it'll be interesting to see what kind of different variety setups we have for these drivers. And there's a good example right there.
Yeah, really well spotted. Yeah, of course, I did say earlier on how Ilpink was so quick through the middle part of the sector, you know, middle part of the lap, so where he got the corners, but was very slow down the straights, and that certainly explains why. And that's not great for overtaking, of course, because he's struggling to even keep up with Marco Nermella, despite having the slipstream. Is Nermella going to close in on Simpson a little bit on this lap as well? Yes, another 1.5 tenths. So if he can just get that to maybe below 8/10 of a second, he's going to have a little bit of a slipstream from Simpson. All of a sudden, we're going to have a three-way battle for the final step on the rostrum. But Ilbrink, I think, is possibly the fastest out of these guys. He just can't get the move done because he's painfully slow down the straights in comparison.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially, well, here's the other thing. I noticed, I think Ilbrink has the high downforce setup, and I mean, you can see all of the Apex Racing guys on a high downforce setup. So I wonder if Marco took an opportunity and worked on a low downforce setup and is just struggling with the corners, the tighter corners now, and that's where he's losing time at, possibly.
Yeah, because on a couple of laps ago, he set a first sector half a second faster than anyone else, so that would certainly explain why. And yeah, around this part of the circuit, he's going to suffer. And yeah, already in this second sector, he's lost a couple of tenths to Alex Simpson. So it's just expect that to yo-yo about. And of course, if he can get himself in the lead, maybe in race 2, he's going to be difficult to beat is Marco Nermella, but we'll have to inspect that one later on. We'll just go back to a couple of battles further down the field. Not too much has been happening. Still got that Krino Henny battle with Brandon and Mogren, who got caught up in incidents in the first couple of laps, getting involved as well. So this is going to be a four-way battle for the final spot in the top 10. Pretty incredible that these drivers still aren't in the top 10, considering that we've had a few retirees, a few big names having issues with Rose and Thompson, and a couple of others as well. But I think soon it's going to be Johnny Branton for XVR Racing, maybe getting that top 10 place.
Yeah, so David Henney's trying to defend as much as possible over, or actually trying to make an overtake move and makes it stick. Ben Craner's just having a really good race right now. Started dead last and he's up to 11th, but still gonna be. Ooh, that was almost. Not Ben. That was Johnny Brandon almost getting involved with Ben Craner there. Just locked it up a little bit, trying not to hit Ben. So still a great battle between these three for fighting for top 10 overall.
Well, Bjorn's going to have the super slipstream here. Don't know if we could just ride on board with him for a couple of moments. He seems to be running a little bit less wing as well. So what he would be wanting right now is Keenon just to pull out of the slipstream, tries to go for the move. Because then Brandon is going to be catching up to these guys at a considerable rate. And you can see that gap's getting smaller and smaller. Is he going to be in range maybe for the end of the straight? I don't think he's going to quite get there despite having fantastic momentum. And now trying to come back is Henny at Kreenor, but he can't quite make the move. But Brandon now all over the back of these guys. He is going to be a little bit slow around this part of the lap, but he's such a good driver as Johnny Brandon. They might be able to make up for it. As just going a little bit defensive there was Henny. Brandon's not going to find this one too easy, but if he can get this one done, he might be able to catch up to Daniels and maybe even Evdoka as well, but no, he's off the circuit. Johnny Brandon, is he into the wall? Yes, he is, and we'll see how much damage he's got.
Well, it looks like that right rear is pushed in a little bit, as well as it looks like a little bit more camber's been put on it as well. So he's going to have a really big issue with trying to keep that car under control, especially when the right rear is needed for a few of the turns coming.
Well, his teammate Nicole Foggy has got big issues up there, lapping. In fact, Foggy's not too bad. Did seem to have issues earlier on. Not sure if he came into the pits to maybe fix them because he's way further back than he was earlier on, but his times seem to be very competitive against the fact in that last lap. Nicole Foggy was the fastest driver in the entire race. He's just down in 19 points. And it turns out that Foggy did have a pit stop to fix some of the issues, so not a good day. But the two drivers who are leading the Euro V8 Supercar Series and fighting for the BSR Radical Championship as well.
It definitely is. We're getting a nice little battle here with Christian Rose. Looks like it was a little bit of connectivity issue as he locked up the rears a little bit there. I'm glad he didn't lose control there for a sec. He's pulling away now from Lane O'Connor, and Christian Rose losing 8 spots. Ooh, we got a car sitting start-finish line. Is that or is that a lapped car? Yeah, that is actually a lapped car of Alex Janssen for NHR Esports, trying to just stay out of the way of the leaders. It's looking like.
Oh, he hasn't done a very good job though, because there's been contact. Oh, and another car. Oh dear, so I think that was the 14. No, Nick got Foggy again. Oh, and Foggy's lost his temper there. And well, I think it was very safer for both of them anyway. But Foggy, not a good race one for him, and he'll be starting from the back as well in race 2.
Yeah, and that I kind of don't blame Foggy because Alex just went and Foggy already was on the inside, and yeah, that was just very unfortunate there.
I've already had a season worth of crashes, I think, and it's been half a race, a quarter of a meeting, and here comes Ben Kreenor. Gotta be really careful on the outside there because it gets so bumpy.
He is gonna have a slowdown. Here's the weird thing about that portion. You would think, and honestly, if iRacing's watching this, have that portion should not be a slowdown in my opinion. As I mean, look how much time that Ben Craner has already lost to Denny Henry. And I know there's times I have gone off there and I've just kept it full flat out because I mean you can be able to take as much of that much of the track as you need on that. But even still, after you come back on after losing a second or two to your rival, all of a sudden you get a slowdown penalty for another second, and I feel that seems to be a little bit too much, especially when you've already made a mistake. You've already lost 2 seconds there, so hopefully iRacing will see something about that, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I remember it was Spa 08, wasn't it, where Kimi Räikkönen went all the way around the outside, but that was in wet conditions, of course, and that happened to be the grippiest part of the circuit. And of course, whilst we don't have that, it's yeah, pretty much impossible to gain an advantage by going that far off the circuit. Johnny Brandon, well, he's still in 12th place. What a difficult first race this has been for him. He's catching up to Ben Kriener again, though. I don't know if he's, of course, he had that off, didn't he? So, yeah, got himself into the top 10, and then fell out of it, and then nearly got himself back in, then had the crash. But he's still got good pace, a 10.15 on that last lap. That's only half a second off the race leader. Marco Mogren as well, trying to get back involved as well, but he just had a very poor lap. Mogren maybe with a bit of damage up there.
Yeah, he might have a little bit, or it might have been just he might have been just struggling in a certain corners, because he does have. It looks like he has the he does have the higher downforce package on there, so he's probably just made a few errors. He's gone a little bit wide there on the rumble strips, but still so far he's just trying to get some decent pace in it. As yeah, it just seems like he's struggling a little bit now in the corners. Probably tire wear as well, and probably locking up the tires, and that'll definitely flat spot a few of the tires and really lose some performance.
Only 33 degrees track temperature out there, despite it looking very sunny. It is midday, so it could get a little bit warmer. Hopefully, I'm not sure what the time of day for the second race of the evening is going to be. But of course, it does make quite a difference. And yeah, it will be for the tyres in particular as Brandon moves up past Kriener, who didn't have the slipstream from anyone up ahead. So it was pretty simple for Brandon. He's still having to defend though. And if Kriener can just stay close through this part of the circuit and then through La Source as well, despite running a little bit more downforce, he's going to be maybe in with a chance going into Lake Coombe. Really has calmed down at there. Not too many battles, although one which is just starting, Simpson versus Nurmela. Nurmela has been able to drop Ilbrink, and now the gap between third and fourth is down to only 0.5 of a second. You can see there, Nurmela benefiting from the slipstream. These guys seem to be using, well, Nurmela seems to be using a little bit less downforce and so down those straights, and with and so the overtaking is going to be very possible for him.
Yeah, and right now this will be the sectors where Alex has got to just make the best opportunities possible to try to pull a little bit of the gap. Since it looks like now the gap now for Marco to Alex is down to 0.8 of a second. So as we're getting now back to the other portion of the track where it's a little bit longer straights, where it'll be an advantage Marco, and he still looks like he's running the quickest lap times out of the other drivers right now, other than Peter Berryman, which Peter Berryman right now is still running low 209s. But Marco Numela is the next driver up there with the 209.5, so Marco's definitely starting to run a little bit quicker lap time, so we might see him catch up to Alex in a few laps or so, depending on this draft that he can get off this backstretch.
Yeah, on that last lap, he was 0.4 of a second faster. It does seem as though Alex is just the slowest out of these Apex drivers, although he's still within 2 seconds of Kevin Ellis Jr. or Kevin Ellis. As yeah, Simpson, half a second clear now. So there's no doubt that Nurmela is going to catch him. It's only a matter of time. He's got 8 minutes to get this one done. It's just, yeah, where he can pull off the move. I imagine even if he did get past Simpson, would be able to keep up, but whether he'd be able to respond back again is another matter. Well, Simpson starts this in 6th position as the gap goes down to 4.5 of a second. And now, really in the slipstream is Marco Nurmela, and he's really closing in at a considerable rate now. 0.2 of a second. In fact, he's going to be past him by halfway down the Kemmel Straight. This is incredible for Marco Numela. That skinny rear wing that you see really benefiting from him. And, well, you can take a normal racing line. That is, yeah, quite some straight line speed.
Yeah, definitely is. Ooh! As Marco got a little bit... Oh, boy. I shouldn't say anything too soon. I was about to say with that downforce was helping him, but got on the throttle a little early there. Really lit up the tires in the back, and then he almost did it again, and coming off of one of the rumble strips, so that almost became race over for Marco, but he was able to control it, and that could have been really disastrous if he wasn't able to control that car.
Did lose 8 tenths of a second, however, to the top two. Probably lost, yeah, probably about 6 tenths of a second, yeah, with that mistake. And so they've lost touch with the top two. So this is very much a battle for third and fourth. And I think it could be a battle for fifth as well, because Paul Ilbrink is now within a second of these drivers. And so after losing touch with them earlier on, he just set the fastest lap of the race, in fact, Paul Ilbrink. A little bit out of nowhere from the Radicals online driver. And, well, he's undoubtedly going to be in this mix. This should be a tight battle for third place right to the end.
Yeah, definitely. It's looking at the best lap times right now. Paul Inberg pretty much tied Peter Berryman with the quickest lap time since the start of the race at a 2:09.17. So that's how close it is between Paul Inbrink and Peter Berryman with that lap time. So definitely have to keep an eye on Paul Inbrink now. And as we're going to see, Alex might try to make an overtake move. Nope, never mind. As he decides to, he's going to play it safe right now. See if he can make an opportunity as the race coming near to a close. As we got about 6 minutes to go in the race.
We'll just take this opportunity to thank everyone who's tuned in so far. We've got about 60 people watching, and of course the drivers who will be watching this one back on the replay. So very much appreciate this, and of course if you do like the video, give it a thumbs up, and also check out our Facebook page as well. Simpson not going for the move, wanting to stay behind. I think maybe realising that it's better for him to stay behind Nurmela and pull away from Ilbrink, because Ilbrink's just had a poor lap, so he's a little bit inconsistent as the Radicals online driver, because he's now a second behind these two. Simpson may be thinking, let's not fight, let's pull away from Ilbrink, get this third and fourth in the bag, and then we'll fight on the final couple of laps whilst we don't have any pressure behind.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, looking at the times right now, got 5 minutes to go, so this will be about 3 laps to go roughly when Peter Berryman crosses the line. So not many laps left, but they've got to play it safe if they want to be able to pull away from Paul Inbrink, especially if Inbrink runs another quick lap time.
I wonder if we could just go back to the race start. Well, of course, we saw a few casualties going through Radion, because that was potentially the race-defining moment that allowed Ellis Jr. and Simpson to gain 3 places each to get into the top 3. And yeah, it was a pretty crazy start this. And yeah, it involved a lot of drivers. Straight away going into the source, we saw issues. I think, yeah, you can see 3 wide in some areas. Did anyone really lose their braking point? It was mainly clean around this part, with just a little bit of contact further down.
It was more El Rouge where the top 5 had their issue, where it was Josh Thompson and Richard Alsop having issues where the contact happened. Yeah, there's the contact, and there was a secondary incident from what I heard from that third car that was spun. But yeah, that was where it was the biggest issue was at it for the start of this race.
And of course, Thompson down in 30th place, retiring from this event. It was Alex Dixon, who is still running out there. So I think he had a couple of issues, maybe a little bit of contact going into the source. And of course, this was, yeah, how it was for Thompson. Just making a little bit of contact to the rear of the car ahead. Nurmela was so fortunate to get through that one. I don't quite know how he did. He did lose a little bit of time, but, well, he must have skimmed his teammate by a couple of centimetres. And he is still running in 3rd place, which would be a pretty good offer for him when he was staring at the DNF right in the face.
Yeah, definitely is. It looks like this battle now has gotten even closer as Alex Simpson's a half a second from Marco Numella and Paul Inbrink a half a second from Alex Simpson. So this battle is going to be really raging on now as we're got about 2 minutes to go roughly, as I believe then this might be the final lap or it might be the second to last lap depending on the timing for Peter Berryman.
Should be the last lap. This got one
Yeah, as
1 minute
he
and
just
50 to go. Yeah.
Yeah, as he just crossed the line a few seconds ago. So this should be the white flag. So all bets are off for the third, fourth, and fifth.
Oh, Ilbrink, I think. No, he didn't make a mistake. So he chopped about a second behind and then got back to within about 8 tenths of a second. Clearly, just taking a slightly alternative line through La Source. But he's not going to be in the mix come Lake Coombe. You can see running quite a thick rear wing there. And so he's kind of getting lost from those two drivers ahead down this straight. Simpson only being able to maintain the gap. That's how much he's struggling with that extra downforce. And, well, he'll be able to get right on the tail of the driver in third place around this part of the circuit. Question is, can he offer up anything going into the final corner?
It'll be interesting. I almost see it as possibly a late move by Alex Simpson, but at the same time, I don't know. Ooh, as we got Gosling must have not have had enough fuel as he's in the pits for a quick splash and go. It looks like.
Yeah, quick pit stop. 2.5 seconds according to my screen. I'm not sure if that's absolutely right, but either way, very quick for Gosling. He'll remain on the lead lap, and he'll still be eligible potentially for the reverse grid, of course. That'll be coming up after we announce the results. But we'll go back to the leaders, I think, because Simpson, I think, just not quite close enough at the moment to Nomella to offer a challenge. Yeah, about 6 tenths to a second with Ilbrink trying to get back involved as well.
Yeah, still watching Paul Gosling right now.
As actually, Pete Spayman is coming across the line to take the race victory. Round 1 of the season goes his way, and for Apex Racing UK as well. And in second position, it's going to be Kevin S. Jr. Marco Nomella is going to hold on to third against Alex Simpson, with Paul Ilbrink finishing in fifth place.
And I just noticed Paul Gosling loops it around, and it looks like he's poor moment for Paul Gosling. As it looks like he got himself trapped on the rumble strip and.
Having some support issues.
Alright, sorry about that. It seems we have some issues with the Discord, so we are currently waiting for Sam and Tyler to get back, and then we can go over the results. Sorry. Okay, it seems like the Discord is still trying to work itself out, so I will take us through the results for this first race. So, we have Peter Berryman taking quite a decisive win on this first race of the season. About 4.5 seconds ahead of Kevin Ellis Jr. And then we got Marko Nurmela breaking the Apex Racing in UK podium streak, followed by Paul Imbrink with kind of good pace towards the late of the race. 6th was Stott McFadden, 7th Ashley Beard, 8th Michael Evdoka, 9th Will Daniels, 10th Danny Henry, who had great battles with Johnny Brandon. Johnny's finished at 11th. 12th Kristen Rose, 13th Ben Greener, 14th Niklas Rasmussen, 15th Marco Mogren, 16th Lane O'Connor, 17th Ben Gregory, also had quite a few troubles but made it through the race. 18th Trevor Clement, and here we have 19th Bart Dahlman, also got involved in a lot of trouble. 20th Chris Moretta, 21st Alex Nixon, 22nd Richard Barringham, who also got involved in the lap 1 incidents. 23rd Paul Gosling, 24th Miles Coletti, 25th Nicole Foggy, 26th Alex Johnson, 27th Steve Lavelli, 28th Josh Rayfield, and then the rest of the non-finishers, which is Alsop, Thompson, Bunn and Blackhall. And now that we are still waiting for the guys to come back, I will do us the reverse good wheel. First wheel spin of the season, and we have options from 14 to 22. And let's spin it. And it will be 16.
16.
So that will be Lane O'Connor getting the lucky opportunity there, starting pole. Unfortunately, Benjamin Gregory, Trevor Clement, Mark Daleman, Chris Moria, and a few of the other drivers that finished on the lead lap are not going to have that opportunity to start up front.
Yeah, unlucky for those drivers, but maybe a little bit of a chance for XBR to have an improvement to their day, with Lane O'Connor starting on the pole position. Then, Mogren, Rasmussen, they're going to be very strong in that race. Rose and Brandon starting high up. A lot of drivers out of position in that first race. Certainly an opportunity for them to redeem themselves in race 2. We will be back in about 20 to 25 minutes time for race 2 of the evening here at Spa.
the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hi there, I'm Richard Jobling, Senior Software Engineer here at iRacing. I'd like to show you some of the work that we've been doing to improve the collision and the damage in our sim. One of the major changes we've made is how our collision systems work. The old system stored the track as parametric surfaces, and the cars were made of collections of spheres. As the cars moved around the track, we would recompute planes using the track surfaces, and then test those against the spheres. This worked well for spheres, but was too specialized to adapt to our shapes. So for the new system, we've built new high-resolution meshes for each track. This is more efficient and gives us a lot more flexibility for the car shapes. The new mesh incorporates all the track features our guys worked so hard to replicate. Things like curb geometry and changes in the surface material are all baked into the mesh. We've also taken our laser scan data and applied that to the mesh. And since the mesh is so high resolution, we capture all the detail that's necessary so that the tracks are just like the real thing. With our new mesh, we can now represent cars using smooth, convex hulls, which grouped together form the chassis, the bodywork, and all the other parts of the car. The new shapes are a much closer fit to the shape of the real car. During impacts, the shapes can deform according to the damage, and eventually they can break off as separate objects. All the parts, like wings, hoods, and wheels, can also hang from their joints, flapping and vibrating until they eventually snap off. All these changes are going to add a whole new level of realism to our races. If you want to find out more, please visit iracing.com and check out my blog post for lots more details.
Hi, my name is Greg Hill. I'm the Vice President of Art and Production here at iRacing. This damage project that we've been discussing is certainly a project that involved all hands on deck to pull off. We've got a rather sizable number of cars in our portfolio, and not all of these cars have been built with this dynamic damage system in mind. So what we had to do is one by one go through our race cars, and we had a team of 3 artists, a highly technical modeler, our technical art director, and our associate art director. All took on each car one at a time, and the work involved was researching that car, researching what would happen to that car if it were in a crash, depending on the forces involved in the crash, how severely it would be damaged, what parts might come off, what those pieces might look like when they're removed, what it would look like where the car has areas exposed that were previously covered by bodywork. So they had to do a lot of modeling to each race car, and they had to do a lot of work to essentially set up how the car would react to forces. So essentially setting the strength of the materials. What kind of force would it take to rip off the side pod, for example? Or under what circumstances would this nose cone get ripped off of a car? Or under which would it remain, but just be badly damaged? But all said, it's been a lot of work, but seeing the car models interact with the physics system and the new crash dynamics is really exciting and really cool to see, and definitely makes all that hard work worth it.
Hi, my name is Jose Diaz. I'm a visual effects artist at iRacing. I specialize in particle effects ranging from fireworks to water fountains, debris, crash, impacts, all in the service of improving the driving experience. So you have the main sort of new damage model that Richard's been working on. So that takes into consideration all the mounts and the chassis from the cars and which materials they are. And he's making all the calculations that tell you like, okay, it got hit from this one side and the strength of that impact is this certain amount of values. If you hit something, that means that this mount gets off, something breaks. This gets added on top of that to sort of complement what is happening there with things that you would see in real life when a car crashes. So typically in a car crash, you will see all these little particles of dust, metal, scratches that will take all that force and momentum and kind of explode in a way. And it's all being driven by how fast the car was coming, how hard the impact was against what. That will give you that sense of like, man, that person really crashed hard, or oh, it was just a small bump.
Hi, my name is Chris Lurch. I'm one of the vehicle dynamicists here at iRacing. Our role in the collision project is to tune the collision properties of each and every car to ensure that they behave in wrecks as a real car would. And we've spent quite a bit of time going through literature from the automotive industry on the subject to make sure that we have panels that deform the way they're supposed to, both temporarily and permanently, that pieces that don't deform but rather just break at appropriate times in appropriate ways. The cars are absorbing energy the way they should and aren't sort of bouncing off the walls in crazy ways. The major properties that we look at are stiffnesses, which is how much a piece of the car deforms when a load is applied to it. And then we look at a couple of limits. One is the force limit beyond which the piece deforms permanently. And then the second limit that we look at is the brake limit, the force limit beyond which the piece will simply break. And then we also will look at damping, which is how much the piece absorbs energy versus how much it takes like a spring and can absorb as potential energy and then rebound back out like a basketball would.
Coming for a splash. Three, two, one, now. All clear. Punch it. Great job. You did really well.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hi there, I'm Richard Jobling, Senior Software Engineer here at iRacing. I'd like to show you some of the work that we've been doing to improve the collision and the damage in our sim. One of the major changes we've made is how our collision systems work. The old system stored the track as parametric surfaces, and the cars were made of collections of spheres. As the cars moved around the track, we would recompute planes using the track surfaces, and then test those against the spheres. This worked well for spheres, but was too specialized to adapt to our shapes. So for the new system, we've built new high-resolution meshes for each track. This is more efficient and gives us a lot more flexibility for the car shapes. The new mesh incorporates all the track features our guys work so hard to replicate. Things like curb geometry and changes in the surface material are all baked into the mesh. We've also taken our laser scan data and applied that to the mesh. And since the mesh is so
Welcome back to the World F3 Championship live on Apex Racing TV. We're here for race 2 of the evening at Spa. Apologies for the slight delay, had a few server issues, but we are all back up and running, and we're about 2 minutes away from gridding up for the second race of the season. And so we saw a really tightly fought first race. The incident on the first lap, taking out a few of the frontrunners, potentially denied us a classic battle, but it was still a dominant performance from Pete's Bayman with such a big reverse grid, 16 I believe it was. I seriously doubt he's going to be able to come back through the field and win race 2.
Yeah, it was more like just pure luck there with it not having a big issue like it was. Especially being able to hold on for first, and then Kevin Ellis hanging on for second, and then Marco Numella having a good battle with Alex Simpson and being able to get that third and final spot on the podium. But with a 16-car field, I mean, they're going to be right around mid-pack when this race starts. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens at the start of the race, as well as a few other drivers that got caught up. Nico Foggy, Josh Thompson was one, and then also Richard Alsop. All of those guys are going to be coming directly from the back of the field. So the start of the race will be very interesting, and I mean 30 minutes long, so lots of things can happen in 30 minutes. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we saw in race 1, in just the first half of the race, how many incidents there were. I think there might be a similar amount in this one, because as you said, a lot of drivers out of position in this race. We've also changed the time of day. It is now 2 in the afternoon, which means the track temperature has gone from about 28 degrees to 43 degrees, and it is rising. And we were discussing earlier on how the drivers have really changed their downforce levels. Massive contrast in downforce. You can see it by the rear wing. Nico Foggy running a particularly skinny one there. And I think we were discussing off air, Tyler, how the hotter conditions is probably going to favour the drivers who are running a little bit more downforce.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the track temp is 109 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about, I think you guys were saying while we were on the break, it was almost like at 45 degrees Celsius. So, I mean, a very, very hot track temp, and it's going to be, especially for some of these drivers that are going to be using the low downforce setup, track's going to be very greasy. So it'll be interesting to see how these setups play out for this second race.
Yes, absolutely. And starting from pole position in this second race is Lane O'Connor. Marco Mogren starts in second place. He could be a good pick for the race win. So too could Nicholas Rasmussen. Ben Craner starts in fourth. Christian Rose, another good pick in fifth. So too Johnny Brandon. Lots of drivers out of position. Danny Henney starts in seventh. Will Daniels could be dangerous in eighth. So too could Michael Tucker. Ashley Baird for Excite Racing starts in 10th. Behind that is McFadden, Ilbrink, Simpson, Nermello, Ellis, and the race 1 winner Peter Bayman, and then Gregory Clement, Daleman, Muretta, Dixon, Warmingham, Gosling, Clositz, Foggy, Johnson, Lavelli, Rayfield, Alsop, Thompson, and Bunn starting in 31st position. So we've literally got a few more drives to get on the grid. In fact, we are going to run out of time for the gridding. So a minute's gone, and we're about to get the lights on. Lane O'Connor starting from the pole position here at Spa, race 2 of the season, and away we go. Marco Mogren with a decent start, and they're going to be neck and neck going into turn 1. There's nothing between them. O'Connor taking a very tight line, and there might even be contact here, but O'Connor leaving plenty of room, and Mogren will take the lead with ease. It's quite settled just behind, although we've got a few incidents just at the back. Nicole Foggy again, been involved in 3 crashes already today, and Josh Thompson, I don't think, getting a great start. We've got a couple of others involved in that one as well. I think it was Lavelli as well, as we see the battle for the lead. Mogren took the lead straight away, but back comes O'Connor, and maybe also going through is Nicholas Rasmussen. It's 3 wide for the race lead, as Rasmussen had contact in race 1, is storming through. He's on the outside, there's almost contact, and now there is contact just behind. Driver going up, and a big contact as well. That was one of the Apex cars as well.
That was actually Excite and one of the Excite cars, it looked like, as well involved. Boy,
Trevor Clement dropping down the order significantly, as we see just trying to burst their way through the middle. We also had Dixon and McFadden, I think, was involved in that one, and now Clement has another incident, and he's way down the order for Fitzpatrick Motorsport. Not a good start for him. We'll get a bearing on who's out of the race once the first lap is complete. But it is Lane O'Connor currently leading the way. This was the incident, or the aftermath of the incident. These guys somehow got themselves involved.
Wow, that was just huge. Wow. How there wasn't more cars involved from that, I don't know how.
Yeah, a couple of just late on the base. So was it McFadden got hit up the rear, so credit to him. It wasn't him locking up, and a little bit of net code as well. And yeah, you are right, it was an Excite Racing driver rather than a Apex driver. And Trevor Clement went off the side, picked up the slowdown. It was the right decision to miss the corner. Here we go, we got side by side for second, third and fourth. Johnny Brandon trying to make his way up through the field. I believe he won a race round here in the BSR Radical Championship earlier on in the season. And he's looking good for a podium right now, as Peter Bayman, I think, just cut the circuit.
Looks like it. Yes, Peter Behrman's in the pits, it's looking like.
Oh, we got another driver. Lane O'Connor, pole sitter. He's going to be way down the order now.
Oh, look out!
Wow, there was contact. Oh dear. And that was very avoidable.
Yeah, and XVR checked up, and he shouldn't have checked up, I think it was. Oh my, oh, we got another spinner. Oh, and he's got no rear wing at all. Watch out for the rejoin. He's got a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's going to be the end of Ben Craner's day. He had such a good battle for the top 10 places in race 1. We've seen so many crashes today, which is not what we want to see whatsoever. We want to see lots of competitive drivers out there racing wheel to wheel. Here comes Richard Alsop. He was involved in a crash earlier on, as we see another spinner, I think, Ben Craner without a rear wing.
Yeah, I don't think he realizes he doesn't have a rear wing, so it's really hurting him. He's trying to keep going, but I'm hoping one of his teammates can, if one of his other teammates are out, if he has a crew guy, gotta let him know he doesn't have a rear wing, and he's already throwing the wheel around trying to figure out why it's he's probably wondering why the wheel is so light right now. Oh, as he almost loses it. Yep.
Ooh, there you go. Hopefully he'll go back to the pits now.
Yeah, he'll have the tow now.
In terms of the retirees, Foggy is out, Clement is out, McFadden, I think, Is he out of the race? I think he did cross the line, but he might have big issues. And of course, we saw Bayman as well coming into the pits, the race 1 winner. And he's going to be miles down the order now. He is 15th, in fact. Alex Simpson has also had issues on that opening lap. He lost 15 seconds in the first sector alone, so maybe got caught up in a spin. It's difficult to keep track of all of this. It's not the biggest field that we necessarily cover on Apex Racing TV, but in terms of the first lap, it's been some of the most action-packed. Marco Nomella is now up to 4th place, Kevin S. Jr. up to 5th.
Yeah, well, that's the shocking thing with, out of all the cars that were finished up near the top of the race, Marco Nomella and Kevin Ellis, like you said earlier on, before the start of race 1, if these drivers can get two top 5s, they more than likely will be leading the overall points. Which it looks like right now, Marco Nomella and Kevin Ellis are going to be those two guys right now if they can hold off 4th and 5th.
Yeah, I'm just looking further down the field as well at Michael Doku, who's just going for a move. He's probably going to get maybe an 8th and a 9th, something like that. And he's going to potentially be 3rd in the championship after this round. But it does show how important the consistency is, as Danny Henney loses out to Kevin S. Jr. So, in fact, Henney was trying to come back at Ellis Jr. there. So, good credit there to Danny. Doku going a little bit slow side. Here comes Gregory as well in the other Fitzpatrick car. Goes past Will Daniels, and that's the bats for the top 10.
Yes, there goes Gregory, able to defend a little bit more there. You can tell both of these drivers are on a little bit lower downforce setup as well, as the rear wing is a lot smaller compared to some of the other drivers. So maybe if they can run clean and they can work together, they might have an opportunity to try to catch up to the rest of the field. But we'll see how this.
Docker's under massive pressure from Rose. Rose, oh, well, is he faster than Rose? He started in 5th place, so he must have had an issue earlier on, because otherwise he ought to be fighting for the win right now. Oh, Docker almost pushing him out of room. Ilbrink is closing in on these guys as well, running a lot of downforces, Paul Ilbrink, so he's not going to be rapid down these straights, and you can see how little wing Rose has. Changes the dynamic of the racing so much, these contrasting downforces, as Evdoka's going to try to defend. He's a feisty driver, is Michael, but he's going to lose out this one, I think, to Rose. Around the outside goes Rose, but Evdoka will try to stick around the outside. Now there's contact with Evdoka and Ilbrink, and that could have been so much worse than it was.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse, because if Michael couldn't save that car, Paul Ilbrink would have just been not the happiest of campers. I mean, even with him, he finished, I believe he was another driver that was fighting up in the top 5 as well, and he'll have it if he can hang on to this will be really good for him. So he really cannot take a DNF in this early in the race.
Definitely a great opportunity for a few of these drivers. Great opportunity for the top 3 as well. Because Rasmussen, Mogren and Brandon, all potential championship contenders, had bad race 1s, but they are in the top 3 currently in race 2. So you just see the end of this one. Ilbrink's not giving up, trying to get the move on Evdoka. He's all of a sudden falling down the field a little bit, losing touch to Christian Rose. Ilbrink is going to try to go all the way around the outside here. This would be a mighty move if he can pull it off. And Evdoka defend, yes, he can just about. Ilbrink just getting a little bit caught offline there.
Yeah, he just about. It was a good opportunity and a good lunge there, trying to make it work, but it was not close enough.
This is quite incredible. Oh, Evdoka's in the wall and Ilbrink's in the wall as well.
Right. And there goes Paul. Oh, gee. That could have been disastrous for. Oh my goodness.
Ilbrink's trying to continue, but honestly, it's a waste of time, because that's half the car of what it once was. I'm sure it's only got a third of the steering that it once had. Different type of racing there, so I imagine no wings. It's almost a bit like a Formula 4 car, but it's not going to be...
no wing. Yeah, no wing and no front end, and he's got some serious steering damage as well. That's game over for.
Leno Connor with issues. pulling to the side of the circuit, maybe a bit too much damage after we saw him spin into the wall at La Source earlier on. Oh, and now Brandon's been tapped out by Namela.
Wow, race has been really interesting now. Christian Rose is now up to 6th after that.
Well, Brandon, if he's got lucky in the BSR Radical series so far this season, which I don't think he has, he's just been very consistent. Well, he's been super unlucky in this one. Hopefully he'll get his luck back in the next few rounds as Ellis Jr. and Nomella go side by side. This is really important. They go side by side through Lake Coombe, and Ellis Jr. is going to pull ahead, and that is a very important move because he's got 4 seconds now to catch up to Nicholas Rasmussen, and with 20 minutes to go, well, Ellis Jr. could end up today with a first and a second, but with the way that this race has gone so far today, I wouldn't rule anything out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even with Ellis getting a second and a second with finishing second in race 1, he's already right now, look, as long as he can just keep it clean and not make any mistakes, he'll be the season leader, the season points leader after the end of these first 2 races.
Yeah, he'll have a quite a comfortable lead. There's so many drivers having issues. Of course, the Docker was looking good as well. Pretty much no one out there who's going to have 2 kind of top 10 results. Quite an incredible opening round in the championship. Raises more questions than answers. Josh Thompson, by the way, is out of the has disconnected from the session. So too has McFadden and Craner and Foggy as well, and Simpson. Absolutely incredible. Marco Mogren then versus Nicholas Rasmussen. Mogren running a little bit more wing. It's been quite interesting just occasionally glancing at this gap between these two because it extends and contracts quite a bit with Rasmussen pulling away down the straight, and then of course Mogren catching in the middle part of the circuit around the corners. But now they're so close in the slipstream, he should be able to stay close throughout the lap, as Rose is in 6th place now, trying to get past Danny Henning.
Yeah, and you can tell with the different wings there, Christian Rose with a lower downforce. So Christian Rose is giving himself a little bit of room. He's going to have a little bit better speed going up through Eau Rouge and take advantage of the draft. And he closes up a little too quickly, though, in my opinion. Ooh, I know he wanted to wait a little longer. I don't think he's going to get the best run, though, now, since he had to check up a little bit, trying to avoid hitting the 33. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, and running a little bit less wing, I think that's just allowed him to make the move there. Just gave him a little bit more straight line speed. And Christian Rose is up into 5th place, back where he started, in fact. I think if it weren't for those first up pitches, he would have been right in the running with these two, because Nicholas Rasmussen is having to go all-out defense. These two fighting, though, is really going to invite Kevin Ellis into this fight, because he's now only 3 seconds behind. I think it's only a matter of time until he catches these guys. They're lapping almost 2 seconds slower than they were in the first race, and that's just because of the track temperature, 43 degrees. And it's kind of maintaining at 43 degrees, but you can see how close Mogren is. With that higher downforce, he's quicker through the corners, but it's so difficult to get the move done, because if he pulls out early down the straight, then he straight away picks up a lot of drag and can't get the moves stuck. So he's got to stay in the slipstream all the way down the straight, and then at the last moment duck out in the braking zone. Here we go then. Mogren round the outside. Rasmussen's going to stick to the inside. Mogren really confident round the outside. Great on the brakes. There's contact between the top two, but through goes Marco Mogren. What a move that is. There was no stopping him whatsoever, although there might be stopping him now, because Nicholas Rasmussen has the slipstream, will go to the outside at La Source. Now he might just try to get the cut back here, nailed the exit, and might be able to pull alongside going into Eau Rouge. Now he's not going to be able to do that just yet, but with the lower downforce that he's got, as long as he can just get a good right, might be better for him just to lift out here and then get the slipstream at the start of the Kemmel straight. But you can see he's almost a little bit too tucked up. We'll move alongside Marco Mogren.
He should have enough
ahead, and now Mogren will get back into the slipstream, but now you can see Rasmussen just accelerating away from him a little bit. Morgan will try to attack, but what a battle this is. They're only losing each other time, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, here's the other thing. Kevin Ellis is only a second and a half, and he's closing in on him very quick, as well as Marco Numella and Christian Rose. And all three of those drivers are looking for some good finishes, especially Christian Rose after the unfortunate issues he had in race 1. So this would be a definite confidence booster for Christian Rose if he's able to catch up.
Rasmussen is still having to defend for Morgan. Round the outside. Oh, this is incredible. He's going to have the inside for the next one, but Rasmussen does have a little bit more straight line speed. Now here comes Ellis Jr. down the inside into the Fania chicane. Is there going to be contact between the top two? Not quite. I don't know what Kevin Ellis Jr. is thinking there. It would have been the move of the season undoubtedly, but he thought better of it, and still they're going side by side, the top two. Morgan versus Rasmussen. They've been side by side for almost an entire lap already, and still they're going side by side.
Nicholas
because here comes Kevin Ellis, and also here comes Mello as well. It's 2 by 2 going into Blanchemont, and you're going to be hard picked to choose who's going to end up in the lead of the race after this lap. Now it's Rasmussen pulling ahead. Mogren, Nomella's got up to third, and he might be up into first any moment now. Going down the inside at the chicane. Is there going to be contact between the two of them? Yes, there is.
A little bit of contact.
But Nomella gets away with it and will move into second place. Ellis in third, and Morgan falls down to fourth.
Yeah, I think Marco knew Kevin Ellis and Marco was on his bumper, and I think Marco was doing everything he could to defend, but just with how Kevin Ellis and Marco Nomella are, it's unbelievable. And I think we're gonna have. I think Nicholas is not gonna have an opportunity unless Marco and Kevin make a big mistake. Still have half of the race to go, and this battle's gonna get very interesting.
Now Nomella pulling ahead. We're going to have 3 wide. Ellis Jr. trying to cover off Morgan, but there's no stopping him. Well, maybe there is because he's just pulled back in behind. Ellis Jr. versus Morgan going into the chicane. In fact, just disappearing there is Nomella. And, well, has he fully disconnected? This is terrible to see if he has. Oh, he's into the wall.
Oh. What? And he disconnected. What in the world did we miss?
I don't know if he crashed. A disconnect and crashed into the wall, apparently. So, oh, that's terrible for Nomella. Don't know if he could just go back to the end of the Kemmel Straight.
That's really unfortunate there for Marco, because that would have been a good fight with Marco and Kevin Ellis, and now Kevin Ellis being the quicker driver of these three, won't be too long before Kevin Ellis makes his pass attempt on Nicholas Rasmussen.
Nomella had a VR disconnect. That's the absolute worst thing you can imagine. Fortunate that he didn't collect anyone else's. Rasmussen, having to defend from S Jr., has got less wing as Rasmussen, and that's really going to give him a good chance at fending him off. He might even want Mogren to get back involved in this one, because on pure pace, Kevin S Jr. is going to have the advantage, and he's got the advantage now on circuit because he's managed to pull ahead of his rival. But Rasmussen, like I said, with the lower downforce, all he's got to do is stay close, going through La Source. In fact, he might even go for the move into La Source. That would be a little bit ambitious. And now, just dropping back a little bit, 0.4 of a second, and trying to break the toe, in fact, is Kevin Ellis Jr. He knows what to do to try to get this first place, but I'm not sure if it's going to succeed, because the gap going back down to 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second, even 0.2 of a second now. The acceleration for Nicholas Rasmussen is incredible, and he's going to pull back alongside. This is what he did to Mogren earlier on to take back the lead, and this is what he's going to do to Ellis Jr. again, as Jr. tries to get into the slipstream, but Rasmussen has the straight line speed, and well, in the end, quite simple. He's going to be difficult to beat, is the NRH esports driver.
Yeah, definitely, and it's going to come down to probably a last-second dive bomb by Kevin Ellis heading into this chicane, the last chicane on Spa, to pretty much make or break this race win. But here's the other thing we got to keep an eye on: Christian Rose is now gap is down to 2.7 seconds, and it is closing on these top three. So definitely it has another opportunity. Christian Rose might have an opportunity to get in this mix.
Yeah, and then Henny's another 2.5 seconds back. Look at Ellis Jr. all over the place. They're looking for the move. I think these drivers have raced against each other in the pro qualification series. I think when Ellis got promoted to a world championship driver, and of course nearly won a couple of rounds. He's a multiple podium multiple podium results driver in the World Championship Series. Will be trying to qualify for the Porsche World Championship Series again next season as well. So too will Rasmussen. But they're fighting side by side here with Mogren just behind, trying to get involved in this one as S Jr. will have the inside, no defense there from Rasmussen. He didn't really have the option, and once again S Jr. will move ahead. Now the question is, can he pull ahead enough to be okay down into Lecoum? But I think the answer is no, because once again Rasmussen is within 0.3 of a second coming out of the source.
Yeah, definitely, as we're on board now. Nicholas Rasmussen got to figure out a way to be able to keep up with Kevin Ellis. He's got a decent gap. We're going up a ridge. He should be able to have a little bit more momentum than Kevin. I don't know if he's going to have enough. Oh, there we go. That's actually going to be a good run here. Here goes Nick. Looking up on the left side. Kevin's trying to make a block, but it ain't going to happen as Nicholas Rasmussen's going to take over the lead again.
Going to go defensive against SG. We go down the inside. No. Well, it's just incredible. Oh, he's off a little bit of an opposite lock there. Now, if SG can get the move done in this part of the circuit, that's probably his best chance. You can go around the outside into this one. SG is going to try to do it, and I think he's going to succeed. Rasmussen's not going to give up without a fight, though. But Kevin Ellis Jr. gets into the lead, almost loses the car, somehow holds on to it, and now is Morgan going to benefit from this? Nick Rasmussen has to go to the outside. This could be the ideal line as round the outside goes, just gets a little bit offline. And here comes Mogren now down the inside. SG just making a little bit of a break for it. This could be make or break for the race win, because if these two start fighting, then it's going to allow the Apex Racing UK driver to pull away. Mogren, though, moves back up into second place for the first time in a few laps, and he stayed right on the tail of Kevin S. Jr. And I don't think S. Jr. is going to be able to defend too easily down into the chicane this time round.
Now, as Marco's got a high downforce setup as well, but Nicholas Rasmussen's gap, so he might have an opportunity to use that low downforce setup to advantage. But with Marco on the tail of Kevin Ellis now, going to be see what happens here. Is Kevin Ellis is going to just hold that inside line as much as possible, brings it back out wide. He's going to hang on to the lead. Oof. Marco just rear tires locked up there for a second. He had a big slide as Nicholas Rasmussen also has a little moment there as well. And meanwhile,
look at Rose just behind. And Brandon as well.
Yeah, Johnny Brandon well, Johnny, actually, that's, I believe, a lap car, actually. There was another car, or sorry, no, there is Johnny Brandon and Denny Haney there. Then both of them have an opportunity as well, as both of them are catching up to these top four drivers in front of them. So, a lot of action still beat the dealt.
Here comes Mogren. 10th of a second between the top two. Can Morgan find the inside? No, there's nothing there. As Rasmussen tries to go down the middle. Could be contact. Wow. Morgan round the outside into Lecoum. Ellis Jr., can he defend? He's going to have the inside for this one. But Morgan will go all the way around the outside. Now, can he cover off the Apex Racing UK driver? He doesn't have to, because look at Rasmussen trying to get back involved. Well, what a move that was from Mogren. Great guts, because he's not the fastest down the straights, but he had to get it done on the brakes into Lecoum.
Yeah, and as Nicholas Rasmussen goes a little wide, but here's the thing. Christian Rose is probably smiling and grinning to the teeth right now, as he's now within 0.6 of a second of Nicholas Rasmussen now, and this now three-way battle has now become a four-way battle for the win.
Absolutely incredible. I don't think Brandon's going to quite catch. He's about a second a lap faster than these top three, but he's only got about 3 more laps to go, and he's about 4 seconds behind. So Well, he might be close by the end, but I don't think he's going to quite get into the mix. Look at Mogren now pulling away. He's 6/10 of a second clear all of a sudden. Is the Radicals online driver? Wonder if SG's maybe got a little bit of damage or something, because all of a sudden he's struggling quite a bit, and even down the straights he can't really seem to keep up with his rival, and all of a sudden Rasmussen's going to be really close here, going into the chicane. Will he go for the move? It's probably wise for him just to stick behind, but Mogren all of a sudden looking really promising for this.
Yeah, woo, is Mogren a little bit of his wheel spin, but yeah, from all the different angles we're looking at Kevin Ellis, I really don't see any kind of damage on that car, so that's really odd to see a struggle in power there for Kevin Ellis.
Well, he's managed to stay nice and close to La Source. He's dropped Rasmussen. Yeah, he's going to be right in the mix this time is Kevin Ellis. We've got... I don't even know anymore. It's so difficult to call. A couple more laps.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 laps left, because as we're getting to probably 3 laps to go roughly, as we're about to hit the 25-minute.
Junior back into the lead. Can these top two drop Rasmussen and Rose? Rose is trying to get the move done on Rasmussen. And all of a sudden, it's Ellis now pulling away from the rest of the field. A little bit of an issue, I think, was there an issue for Peter Bayman on that last lap? Yes, he's just Bayman with an issue down into turn 1, and this is how it happened. I think he may have had... That's Ben Gregory. Did Gregory cause some contact? No, it was Bayman losing it by himself.
Yeah, it looked like he touched the grass, got on the brakes, and around the car went very quickly and aggressively, so did lose a few spots there, and Alex Simpson got ahead of him. Berryman's dropping... Ooh! Berryman's pulled off the track.
Remember, the race 1 winner, one of the favourites for the championship, but he's going to have a no score in race 2. And, well, this is how it happened potentially. Already taking a little bit of a weird, like, ooh. Maybe a hardware issue, I think, for Peter Bayman.
That's interesting.
So I think we've got to go back to the lead because Ellis is under pressure again from Mogren, who just stays in behind. That was really wise there from Mogren because he doesn't want the two behind to get involved, as Rasmussen has to go defensive against Rose, and you can see it's Rasmussen who exits onto lap 13 ahead. We've got this one and one more, as we've got the 111 car just ahead. Or is that Matt Bunn? I think that might be Matt Bunn.
It looked like Trevor Clement. Yeah, Trevor Clement in the 111. Just pulling off track, giving everyone, letting the leaders get by, and before he probably gets back up to speed again.
There we go, I'll go back to the lead because Mogren is really closing in on Ellis very quickly. It's down to 1/10 of a second. Well, of course, if this keeps on happening, it will be Ellis who takes the lead on the last lap. So, is it worth Mogren just staying behind? And I think that's what he's going to do, unless he's waiting for Ellis to pull back to the outside of the circuit. But no, he stays behind, so maybe he's going to try to get the move done on the very last lap of the race. Behind Rasmussen and Rosa, losing each other too much time, and they may have just lost each other a chance at winning the race in their greediness, arguably, to fight for 3rd place. Still going to be a good result for either of them if they can get on the rostrum. But it looks as though it's just going to be a duel now between Ellis and Mogren.
Yeah, this battle's getting really good now. Ellis taking the inside line, trying to hold the inside as much as possible here. Marcus got a little bit of a gap. 0.2 of a second is the gap right now. Heading towards the long straightaways. They are pulling away from the other drivers that have the low downforce setup, as it looks like the high downforce setup is the way to go, especially for this inside.
Yeah, once these high downforce drivers can break the draft, it does certainly seem as though they have the advantage. But he's still on the same downforce, and Mogren is undoubtedly able to get the move done. It's just where he gets it done. Will he get it done into the chicane? Because he'll be so vulnerable at Les Combes. He's just going to line this one up, surely, for the perfect run up the Kemmel Straight. But he can afford no mistake here, can the Radicals Online drivers. Rose still behind Rasmussen. That's going to be a really tight one for P3, but they're now 2 seconds off the leaders, as Brandon isn't going to quite get involved in that one unless they somehow take each other out. But it's Kevin Ellis going into Eau Rouge. This is going to be maybe the make or break point. This is probably going to be Mogren's best chance at taking back the race lead, and he's going to have himself a great chance because the gap's down to only 0.3 of a second, and he's closing in at a rapid rate of knots. Almost pulling alongside already is Marco Mogren. Is he going to go to the inside? He's trying to do the dummy, but he's going to have to go to the outside. Or is he? It's swerving all over the place. It's Ellis, because he doesn't know which way his rival's going to go. Mogren stays behind, and if he's going to win this race, he's got to get it done on the very last lap, very last corner of this race.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye because if Markin can be able to get a better run on the long straightaway heading towards that last chicane, get ready for a big dive bomb move because Marco will send it. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, these guys have got a big enough lead, haven't they, to afford to have some contact and maybe still finish on the podium. As could finish today with a second and a first. What a great start to the season that would be, as we maybe just see a puff of smoke. I don't know if there was maybe a spinner or something. Mogren staying as close as he possibly can. This way he's really strong, but with that slightly higher downforce setup, they're relatively even, as I said earlier on. This is going to be so close. Mogren has lined it up perfectly. He's quarter of a second behind. We're right on board with him going into the final few seconds. We're past the time limit. We're into the minuses now as Mogren goes to the inside into Francorchamps. This is what it's going to come down to. Can Ellis respond going into the bus stop? I don't think there's anything he can do. Mogren is going to go right to the inside of the circuit. Has he almost lost the car? Oh, they made contact. But Mogren is surely going to have the win. No, it's Ellis going side by side. Mogren is going to win race 2 at Spardo. What a finish, what a race. As Rose crashes off right at the end, he's going to lose out to Brandon. And Brandon finishes on the podium, in fact. Beats Rasmussen, Henny in 5th, and Rose in 6th place. Wow, what a race that was.
If that's not an iRacing top 10 moment for the month, then I don't know what is. What a finish. Wow.
What a race.
6/600ths of a second to the line.
Oh, out of breath after that one. But it was half an hour of absolute craziness, wasn't it? Of these guys just changing position. And to be fair to Mogren, he timed it absolutely perfectly. He didn't go for the move at Lake Coombe. Interesting that Ellis gave him the inside there and decided to try to get back into slipstream. Thought that maybe he could bring it back at the chicane, and he was so late on the brakes here. Almost cut off his opponent on the apex, made contact, and I think if Ellis had won that one, it would have been a bit of an injustice because he did make contact a couple of times.
And further back, we just saw very, like, at the corner of the screen, there was some contact as well with the Christian Rose and the other driver that lost out to Johnny Brandon. I believe that was Denny Haney or Nicholas Rasmussen, I should say, actually. As it looked like they had about the same scenario as what as what our top two had with Kevin Ellis and Marco Morgan. So we're watching a replay now of how third and fourth finished.
Yeah, so Rasmussen managed to keep behind Rose for the entire race pretty much, and managed to keep him behind even right at the end. So, yeah, Rose on the outside. Oh, it was clumsy from Rasmussen, really clumsy.
Wow.
And Rose was lost out from it. He was late on the brakes there, Rose, and just couldn't get the car turned for the second part of the chicane. Wouldn't be surprised if he maybe picks up a minor penalty. It was completely innocent, but just a little bit clumsy on the last corner of the race. And
Absolutely.
What's the race?
Yeah, and quick update as we're looking at the chat real quick. We found out what happened with Peter Berryman, why he pulled off track. Apparently, his wheel lost force feedback, and when you lose force feedback with these cars, it is very, and I can agree with it, very hard to control the car, and hence the reason why we saw Pierre Berriman jump off track and just pull it aside, because it's kind of difficult, especially when you don't have any force feedback to know what the car is doing exactly.
Yeah, definitely do not. He did well not to make contact with anyone else, to be honest, and did well just to escape back to the pits. Race 1 winner. Race 2 winner though, Marco Mogren. Oh, 6/100ths of a second ahead of Kevin Ellis. That pretty much tells the story. Ellis with 2 second places will have a big lead in the championship after today. Johnny Brandon, great recovery into 3rd. Nicholas Rasmussen was in 4th, Danny Henney in 5th, and Christian Reyes in 6th. Benjamin Gregory was only 20 seconds off the lead. Great result for the Pitsty motorsport driver in 7th. There's Will Daniels, great recovery from Alex Simpson in 9th. He might be in 2nd place in the championship, I think, after today. Richard Alsop from 29th on the grid to 10th, well done to him. There's Bart Delman. Steve Lavelli from 27th on the grid. Alex Johnson, Alex Dixon, Paul Gosling, Josh Rayfield, and Paul Ilbrink. Then driver 1 lap down was Trevor Clement after getting involved in a collision in the first lap. And then the retirees, Peter Bayman, race 1 winner, of course, Miles Klotzitz. Chris Moretta was in 21st, and there was Marco Namella fighting for the win, but had a VR issue. There's Ashley Beard, Michael Evdoka crashed. Josh Thompson, no points for him today, one of the championship favourites, of course. Lane O'Connor was in 26th. There's Ben Kaner, Richard Warmingham, Stuart McFadden, Nicole Foggy, and Matt Bunn did not take the starts. Hopefully we'll have interviews with some drivers, and we sure are. And I think first off we'll have an interview with Marco Namella. And Marco, good effort out there. In the end, it was a DNF and a podium. Let's focus on the positives first, though. That first race, catching and passing Alex Simpson must have felt pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I had more pace, but I was so nervous. First league race for me, so yeah.
Yeah, well, you did pretty well. We certainly can tell, because you're very impressive with your race craft out there. Going on to race 2, your battle with Mogren and Ellis was absolutely incredible. We've rarely seen anything like that.
Yeah, I knew the guys were really good drivers, so I could like keep my car on there, and I know I don't get pushed away and make sure that I don't push the other cars. So yeah, it's good battle.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, you said that you haven't done too much league racing, but I assume you've done plenty of racing in the Formula 3.
Yeah, I've done it. It's my car, so yeah, I like almost doubled my I rating and on this car. So yeah, I like the setuping of the car and everything on it. So.
And we just saw a replay of the starts in race 2. You somehow avoiding all those cars around you. Was your mentality when you saw that straight away onto the brakes, or were you trying to benefit as many positions as possible when you saw those crashes ahead?
I was on when I was on the straights, I was looking always behind, like leaving a gap, so if I do a braking, I can see like nobody's heading me in the rear. So I was preparing to have a crash in front. So yeah, I got lucky there too, but yeah, I was prepared for it.
Yeah, certainly the right way of thinking. It was great to watch you out there today, Marco. Before we let you go, any thanks you'd like to give to anyone?
Of course, my teammates, Team Redline, Team Racing Network, and our partner team, Racecraft Engineering guys. And yeah, follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Thanks, Marco, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Okay, next up we'll have an interview with, I think, Kevin Harris Jr., because Kevin, you are, by relatively basic maths, 2 seconds equals first in the championship, I think. You must be really pleased today because you were, I think, the only driver out there to finish in the top 8 in both races.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad couple of races there. A bit gutted to lose the win there at the finish, but I knew Marco was going to go for it. And when you get two guys so similar on pace, it's so hard to pull away here. So, yeah, no, 2 second place is good, but would have liked the win at the end there.
Yeah, definitely. It was interesting to see out there the downforce trims because it really mixed up the racing. We had Nicholas running pretty much no downforce and just storming past you down the straights. That must have made the racecraft really difficult with those drivers.
Yeah, it certainly added a different dynamic to this race. I think the higher downforce for us kind of worked out for the second race near the end there. A lot of the guys on the lower downforce I think were beginning to struggle because it was a pretty hot track temp out there. So it worked for us in terms of cutting through the pack, but as soon as it was a one-on-one battle there with Marco, it was just I had no chance of trying to lead there. I mean, I found it with the guys on lower downforce, if I was leading coming out of Lake Om, I could pull about 0.7, 0.8, and at that point you're out of draft range, so they weren't too much of an issue. But with Marco, he seemed to be really strong through the corners there and just stuck with my draft the whole way, and I had absolutely no chance of pulling away. So yeah, it certainly made things interesting, but frustrating at the same time for us, because I definitely think we had the best outright pace, but that's just Spa. We were all expecting it coming in, so it's not as if it was a surprise to us. So, no, good strong 2 races, but hopefully for next race will all be a bit more of a level playing field in terms of downforce.
Yeah, I think so. On that last lap in race 2, we saw you kind of opening the inside of the circuit going into Blanchimont. What was your logic there? Did you think just get behind and then slot back in to get the move done at the final corner?
Well, I was kind of hoping to defend the inside into the last chicane, and Marco was a lot quicker there than I expected. And for this race, I'm down to 1 screen for this race, so I'm not making an excuse here. Just a quick disclaimer, not making an excuse, but I'm usually on triples, so I was on 1 screen here, and I thought, right, I'll be side by side with Marco on the exit into the last chicane, and I'll just try and brake as late as I can and defend the inside. And as soon as I turned in for Blanchimont, I saw he'd cleared me. I was like, oh god, I'm in a bit of an issue here, and then. Just tried to draft back up to him and outbrake him, but he parked the apex on the right-hander. I just had nowhere to go and gave him a couple little taps there, which wasn't ideal. But no, just great racing with Marco. In all honesty, that was just fair, hard racing, as good as it gets. So no complaints from me.
Yeah, it's great to watch you out there today, Kevin. And of course, you are now the championship leader by quite some margin. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, I need to give a massive shout out to Pete for all the set work. He got really unlucky in race 2 there. I think he had an issue with his wheel. I don't know what happened there. We're trying to figure out what happened and make sure it's not going to be an issue for the future races. But Pete did so much work on the car. He did all the set work and all the testing for us. I've got maybe 2 hours practice, and Alex started practicing today, I think. So yeah, we're kind of relying on Pete there. So he done an absolutely mega job. All the guys on Apex Racing UK for all the help, as always, all the support, and of course to all our sponsors and yourselves for the broadcast.
Thanks, Kevin, and we'll see you soon on Apex Racing TV.
Cheers, guys.
Well, I think third up in interviews, we'll have a chat with second place, I believe, in the championship, Alex Simpson. Alex, it wasn't the perfect day necessarily, but if you're going to win this championship, as you have learnt yourself on the Pro Qualifier series, you don't need to win a whole lot of races. You managed to really recover a lot of points, particularly in that race 2.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for the broadcast, guys. But yeah, I mean, good first race. I mean, I have to straight off the bat, I've got to thank Pete because he put all the time and effort to build the set. I literally just rocked up today, and yeah. The car was great underneath me, and you know, that 4th place, I'm pretty happy with that in the first one. It was a shame it wasn't a 1, 2, 3. I just had a straight line speed marker. It's just insane. He just come up at me like a bat of hell, and I just couldn't do anything. So I thought, well, I'll try and slipstream past him, but yeah, never got the opportunity to. He was so quick. Every time I got a run, I was either peeking out or yeah, I just pulled out, and there was just nothing happening basically. So, but yeah, so. That was a good race. I enjoyed that. Obviously, we were a bit fortunate with the accident that happened to give us that sort of position. But you know, I'll take that. You gotta have a bit of luck. And then in the second race, it looked. I was trying to be a little bit careful, but unfortunately, there was just nowhere to go. I was like, oh, damn it, what's gonna happen here? So, I just tried to hit almost square on. So actually, it was just nose cone damage. But I got a bit of suspension. The car was super slow. So I used the quick repair. And again, I've got to thank Pete for a nice little tip. So we were in and out of the pits really quickly and away. And yeah, I mean, there was obviously a lot of accidents in that second race, and that's what allowed me to get back into the top 10, including some unfortunateness with Pete's wheel disconnecting and losing all of his force feedback as well, right at the death there as well. So yeah, but I'll take it. P9, I had a lot of off tracks. It's Spa after all, and I was going for it. So whether or not I'll actually be second in the championship, I'm not so sure.
Well, you're going to be close at least, and
Yeah.
you're certainly showing your competitiveness out there. Do you know where we are next week?
I haven't got Scooby.
Okay, I don't either. Okay, so that was going to be my question. Do you like next week's circuit? But I can't really ask
I
you that
love it.
anymore.
It's the best
Yes.
circuit ever.
As long
as it's got start and finish, some corners and a straight, I'm game. It'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, actually, this is the third time I've drove the car. I did like that stream, like the day it come out. That was like the first time, and then last night I did like a tiny little bit of running, and then jumped in. But I have to say, it's a great little car. Apart from the fact I don't like the curbs too much. So I think once I get a little bit more familiar with it, I think I'm really going to enjoy the series.
Yeah, I'm sure you absolutely are. We're certainly completely in it. Yeah, absolutely fantastic batsing out there. Before we let you go, Alex, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, well, you guys obviously for jumping in, doing the broadcast. Thank you very much. I'll enjoy watching that one back. To Pete and Kev, who put in the work, did all the data and things like that. So I was able to sort of have a little look at that last night. Oh, Silverstone GP, I do love that circuit as well. There you go. I knew to say that was going to be one good one. Thanks, Matt. To Matt obviously for organising the league and everybody else that's involved in it as well behind the scenes. And I think this is going to be a nice little series. So yeah, all the guys that I raced with today, and everyone for rocking up and signing up to the series. I'm looking forward to racing everybody out there and getting to know them a little bit better, and seeing how this series pans out.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, you'll be commentating on the BSR Radical tomorrow, so we'll see you then.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed, I will. Thank you.
Okie doke, so we've got 2 more interviews we're going to do. We're going to be really quick with this next one. Nicholas Rasmussen. Nicholas, you were in the eye of the storm there, I think, in race 2 in particular. Your straight line speed was absolutely fantastic. You were almost unpassable out there at times because driver would pass you and you just come straight back out there.
Yeah, we decided to run medium for the race to hopefully gain the straight line speed, and that not only gave us the position on lap 1 because we had that just a little bit extra down the straightaway for the first time, but also just to try and see a little behind, because we knew that I personally have been struggling a lot with the car, so I knew I had to try something a little bit different, and it looked like most of the guys, at least up front, was running high downforce, so we decided to go for the opposite.
Yeah, it seemed to really work out for you out there. It was just a little bit frustrating right at the end. You had to defend from Christian, and that kind of lost you touch with the top 2 in the end. But you and Christian had a great battle, a little bit of contact at the end there, but it was still really good to watch.
Yeah, I have to apologize to Christian. That move was not good on me. I should be better than doing that. I locked up into the corner. Thought I could keep him behind by just hogging the apex, the second apex of the bus stop, and the tires didn't grip, obviously because I locked up, and that obviously ended taking him out of. I think he finished P5, but I mean, I'm very sorry about that incident. Very clumsy move on me, and I will learn from that.
Yeah, it certainly was a completely innocent mistake, of course. So next week, I'm sure you'll be able to amend that one because we're going to Silverstone for the Grand Prix circuit. Is that one that you enjoy?
Yeah, back when I was competing in the iRacing Grand Prix series, I used to love that track. So I'm sure it's going to be the same in this car. So a lot of high-speed corners. This car has a lot of downforce, so should be fun around Silverstone. Look forward to it.
It'll be great to see you there. Nicholas, before we let you go, any thanks you'd like to give to anyone?
Yeah, first of all, massive thanks Alex Johnson, my teammate, and the whole NHR eSport team for putting in the effort to get us on the grid. I gotta thank the sponsors, Extreme Gameware, Newman Racing, Quali 193 Productions, everybody who's helped us get this team built up, because it has been a big process. And obviously gotta thank the sponsors of the league and the league organizers for getting us this league to run in. It's awesome to be here, and I can't wait to be back.
Yeah, we certainly can't wait to be back as well. Good luck for next week, Nicholas. We'll see you there.
Thank you very much.
Okie doke. Final interview coming up. And, well, we're kind of forced to do this interview because it is the league organizer, Matt Bunn. Matt, are you pleased with how today went? We saw a lot of crashes, but some of the best racing I think we've ever seen on this channel.
Hi guys. Yeah, no, I think generally, for the first season of a new league, I think it went pretty well. People jumping in new cars, racing against people they've not raced against before. The open wheel cars as well, they're not forgiving. You can't lean on each other. You've really got to sort of give each other space. There's a few instances where there's a bit of netcode as well, which that's why I try and advise all the guys before, try and give a little bit of extra space. These open wheel cars, they're not forgiven. But yeah, I was sat in the session watching everything because I'm still without a rig, dying to get on the track with everyone. But yeah, no, I think there were some cracking battles amongst a few mistakes here and there and a few bit of nonsense and stuff. That was generally pretty good for a first meeting. I was really impressed.
Yeah, definitely, and the competitiveness out there is mind-boggling. When you got I think we've got 5 pro drivers on the grid, a couple of other kind of former pro drivers. We've got BSRTC, showdown drivers, and all sorts. You must be absolutely delighted with the quality of the field out there.
Yeah, definitely. Really good to have such a strong lineup of drivers. I had JRT running and was helping Christian from CQR. Just sort of keeping an eye on a lot of the lap times of some of the guys, and just incredible pace from a lot of them. And that it weren't just one lap; they were just so consistent with how fast and how quick they were going. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, when I am on the track, I think I'm going to be close to the back.
No shame in that whatsoever.
No.
Of course, next week we've got Silverstone. Of course, will be your first round of the championship. What will be your aims for that one? Because we saw a lot of crashes today. Just 2 finishes, and you're going to be looking pretty good in the points.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just going to go in. If I can finish sort of mid-pack and finish both races, I'll be happy. With as we've said, the lineup of drivers is just. Yeah, mid-pack's going to be good for me if I can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you, of course, next week, Matt. But before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just want to thank our 2 sponsors for this season. Immortals, they support us in the World GT Championship as well, and they're going to support us in this series as well. And Social Proofed as well. Immortal, they offer sort of model cars of in-game, your in-game cars. They can replicate that in models, which is really good. And Social Proofed as well, they've come on board, a new sponsor for this season, and they do a lot of things with sort of helping people grow their audience on Instagram. So yeah, just like to thank the 2 sponsors and obviously the team and you guys as well for setting up all the broadcasts for the season. I'm looking forward to getting this one out of the way and sort of just improving as we go, and hopefully seeing lots more epic battles.
Yes, absolutely. Have no doubt about that. Thanks, Matt, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.
Well, I think that's all the interviews done now. And Tyler, whoa, what a race that was. One of the best meetings I can personally remember. And, if we got 10 more of these, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to say the least. It was a crazy one as well. So, man, that was just, especially that race 2 was wild. But man, what a finish though.
Yeah, it was one of the best finishes you're going to see all year, and we're only in January. Yes, we are still in January. Well, we'll be back tomorrow in the BSR Radical Series, also the Sim Racers World Championship, and then on Saturday we won't have anything actually. Sunday we'll have the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship, and on Monday, in fact, we don't have any World GT. Very annoying. But of course we will have all our other series, the Mazdas and the Vicmo Tech. And of course, also on a Wednesday afternoon, we also have the Le Mans series as well. So check in on that next week, and of course, also this championship at Silverstone GP, the second round of the World F3 Championship. If it's anything like this one, then we are in for one hell of a treat. I hope that you've enjoyed this one as much as we have. We will see you next week for round 2 of the World F3 Championship. See you then.